are you willing to listen? Are you willing to ask different questions? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to, what's the answer supposed to be? So let's get the right questions. I know it sounds weird, but let's get at it. Welcome to the Eagles Checkdown, the fastest under 10-minute Eagles podcast there is, covering news, notes, and opinions on your favorite football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, jointly produced by the Eagles Pinball Podcast Network and the STT Sports Network on YouTube. Guys, please, I beg you, I implore you, every day that we do this, no matter what, hit the like button, share button, subscribe button, follow button, whatever button, whether you're watching on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever you are, hit the buttons on your screen. It helps grow these two great channels and helps us continue to pump out the great content on a daily basis. This is the dead off season. We need your help even more, continuing to grow these great channels so when next season comes along, we're even bigger and better than we already are, guys. So I got a couple different things I want to talk about today, and willingness. You're going to hear the word willingness a lot with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion over the next couple days. And why? Because Brooks Kubina, he's an Eagles writer for The Athletic, put out an interesting article, and it was about his time at the Combine and the words he was hearing about Jalen Hurts from coaches in regards to his relationship and success failures under Kevin Patullo, and why it could be great with Sean Mannion. Now, the article dives in, and I'm going to paraphrase it, a bit here, but basically dives into the theory that Jalen Hurts is willing, always, to change, to do whatever's best for the team. He's never going to say no, right? But for him to buy in, for him to be willing to be fully committed, he's got to understand the whys, right? He's the son of a coach, right? We always hear that Jalen Hurts is a coach's son. That's what makes him so easy to coach, right? And when you think about who Sean Mannion is and what his philosophies are and what people think and say about him, is that he is going to properly explain the whys, right? And then that'll help commit Jalen Hurts and the offense to doing the job the right way. Kevin Patullo, you hear from Lane Johnson. It was week 6. This offense has no identity. This offense has no idea what's going on. Well, Kevin Patullo, nobody had confidence in him, right? No one believed in him, which made the willingness a little harder for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was still going out there, running the plays that were called, running the offense as it was called. But you didn't hear that, when Kellen Moore was the OC in 2024. You heard so much about Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore talking for hours on Tuesday nights, getting ready for the first practice on Wednesday, breaking things down, explaining things, going back and forth. To succeed with the Eagles, you've got a great leader and quarterback in Jalen Hurts. But you got to be on the same page. And you got to understand Jalen Hurts isn't going to publicly question you. He's not going to call you out in the locker room. He's not going to make sly comments like A.J. Brown. He's going to do what you say because that's what's best for the team, right? That's what quarterbacks should do. But on the flip side, Sean Mannion's got to understand. He's got to look at 24 and 25, see what worked and didn't work in the communication department, in the building of that relationship. You got to have a relationship with your quarterback as the offensive coordinator. So I thought that was a very interesting piece. Brooks Kubina, The Athletic. It's actually one of their free articles, so you can check it out. I think you'd be really, really interested in reading it. But back to the questions. Obviously, A.J. Brown. It's a constant question, right? So the question shouldn't be, will the Eagles trade A.J. Brown or not? The question shouldn't be, will a team, give X, Y, and Z for A.J. Brown? The question should be, if you trade A.J. Brown, what's next? How do you replace him? What's the offense going to look like? Devontae Smith, in my opinion, one of the 15 best wide receivers in football, but he's got opposite of him one of the 7 or 8 best wide receivers in football, formerly probably top 5, maybe even top 3 a few years ago, A.J. Brown. You take A.J. Brown away, what does that do to Devontae Smith? I know all the Eagles fans out there are hearing Romeo Dobbs' name and Mike Evans' name and names to be added to the Eagles if A.J. goes or doesn't go, right? But they're not going to replace A.J. Brown. They're not going to be as good as A.J. Brown? What happens to Devontae Smith? What happens to Saquon Barkley? What happens to the run game, the offensive line? So many different aspects. So the question shouldn't be, will they trade A.J. Brown? That if they did, what would be the direct reaction to that the cause and effect there? What would be the effect of trading him away? And when you understand the massive effect of getting rid of A.J. Brown and what it'll do, it makes you less willing to trade him. It's why Howie Roseman has got such a high price tag on him. It's really interesting when you think about that. You know, a couple other things I want to cover here today. One, Trey Hendrickson is a free agent, defensive end, edge rusher, whatever you want to call him. Him being not retained by the Bengals maybe helps the Eagles with Jalen Phillips and signing him. You got Trey Hendrickson now. You've got potentially Max Crosby. The upper echelon of edge rushers gets deeper with Hendrickson being available, which maybe helps the Eagles in negotiations with Jalen Phillips. I want to throw that out there. Back on the offense, obviously Dallas Goedert, according to Matthew Berry, is good as gone. And the rumor on Tuesday a lot about David Njoku of the Browns. So, and Eagles fans are like, oh, we got to get Njoku, right? Howie Roseman has said, and we've talked about it on this show, draft, develop, re-sign. Re-sign, that's the key. Why would they sign David Njoku, an off-injured tight end who's going to be 30 this upcoming season, who, when healthy, is a great tight end, okay, when you've got a $20.5 million dead cap hit on Dallas Goedert? Why would you sign David Njoku for, say, I'm making up these numbers, a 1-year, $10 million deal versus, say, giving Dallas Goedert 2 years at 25? And you give Dallas Goedert a contract extension, you save on the cap. We got $13.5 ballpark million in cap space. You cut Michael Carter, that's something that's going to save you about $8 or $9 million. You restructure Jordan Davis, that's another $8 million. You extend Dallas Goedert, you could potentially free up to $12 million in cap space. So going from $30 million to $40-some million in cap space by keeping and re-signing, which is what Howie Roseman has talked about doing, keeping his own guys, makes much more sense. And that's not a knock on Njoku, but the one reason against keeping Dallas Goedert is he's got an injury history. Was relatively healthy this year, only missed one game. But Njoku, let me read off Njoku's games. He only played 12 games this year, 11 games the year before that, 16 and 23. That was his best year with over 80 catches that year. 14 games in 22, 11 games there, 13 games in 2020, only 4 in 2019. Never healthy. Now he's been plagued with bad quarterback play, and he might be even better, but it's crazy. I'm keeping Dallas Goedert over David Njoku every day and Sunday. That's my thing there. Final thing I want to cover here. The Eagles have a chance to play an international game, so I want to keep these notes updated for you. At this point, based off of the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are playing in Madrid, it's been announced, this is per Zach Furman, so we won't play in Madrid this year. That checks that off. So we're down to London, Rio, and Mexico City as the remaining options. Rio would be the Cowboys again, and I highly doubt that they would send Eagles Cowboys except for a special occasion overseas. Mexico City versus the 49ers, to me, seems like the most logical thing. Eagles 49ers, big rival, non-division rival. There's a lot, from where I'm from, a lot of people from Mexico love the Philadelphia Eagles, especially in the Kennett Square community. And London would be the Jaguars or the Commanders. I would doubt you'd want to put Eagles Commanders overseas. You want those division rivals to be here. You do. I'm not saying they don't do it, but I think that's their thinking. So to me, it's going to be Mexico City versus the 49ers or London against the Jaguars, or we're not going to be played internationally this year. That's just my opinion, and I would think Mexico City would be a fantastic spot for Eagles 49ers next year. So that's that. That's what I got today, guys. Tune in to Trending in the AM Live, 8 a.m. every day on the STT Sports Network. I greatly, greatly appreciate it, guys. Everybody have a great day. Go Birds. And Bubbles.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.